Okay, the first thing that's gone wrong in this trip was the front two running lights, the amber lights on the front of the trailer. Probably within the first 50 miles or so of my trip, both had popped off, and I had to stop at a Walmart and buy slightly deeper size, but they fit actually a lot better, nice and tight. And I put a little bit of tape on top to try to make sure they won't pop off again. Okay, number two annoyance that happened this week. Driving down the coast of the Gulf Coast of Texas on my way down here to North Padre. This is the range hood vent. There used to be a cover on this, cover that goes over the top. Adds a little bit of protection so that when the fan does run, obviously things can't fly into it as easily. Well, that just happened to blow off on its own on the highway. I don't really see any way on here that it's ever screwed on. I don't know if it's pressed in there. I have a new one coming, and I'll put a link in the description for what the one that I ordered. I think it's the right one. But I think it just pushes in here and snaps into place. If so, that explains why it popped off so easily. It's about $18–20 for a new one of those. I'll have to try to make some kind of a modification so that when I'm driving down the road again, when I have the new one, that this doesn't pop off again. Well, so there's number two. Okay, the third annoying thing with this trailer, annoying defect, I want to make that clear, is with the front door, or the only door. The door itself seems to expand and contract a lot with the temperature. When it's cool out, it closes a lot more easily. When it's warm out, things seem to expand, and then I get a lot of interference. But the worst part is right here. I don't know how well you can tell that, but there's a screw on the door itself that when it closes, when the door's when it's hot out, it rubs there, and it's rubbing right through the metal on the door frame itself. I'll go over and show you that screw, and there it is. You can see the top of it has worn down to the bare metal. I don't know if you can see a little bit of rubbing here on the paint on the door frame itself. Now, I don't know what caused that, if it's a problem with the frame or a problem with the door or the problem with the way they put the screw in, but it's really unnecessary. Okay, annoyance number four. A few weeks ago I did a video on this on YouTube, and I'll put it in the description. I'll put the link in the description, but this leaked, I believe, way before its time. Shouldn't have leaked at all. I'm not going to go into every detail about this again. If you're really curious, you can see the video I made on that where I did the repair, and that's holding up fine. What I think that was in the end was they just didn't put a sufficient amount of sealant on the skylight. So really, just totally unnecessary. The thing's not even a year and a half old, and this is the kind of stuff we have to put up with as RV owners. Okay, on to number five. Okay. Super annoyance number five. I'm under my dinette right now. This is the wheel well, the top of the wheel well they put carpeting on. And you can see that there's water damage. I didn't know where this came from. It looks like it's coming. There's no damage up above. Doesn't appear to be any leaks around the window. So last night, near as I could figure, there was water coming up from the wheel well, probably as I was driving. And I think I've actually found where that problem is. If you notice right here, I took the a little tight here. I took the bed apart last night, but the discoloration on the wall, you see how it starts to taper off. It's taper off right here. It extends just a little bit underneath this seat for the dinette. you can see where we are in the dinette. Alright, there's the front door over here. And right about in here is where the wheel well starts. We'll go outside and look at that again. I mean, look at that more closely. But you can see, what I think was happening was water was coming in and leaking in, collecting, and blowing inside. And then tapers off near the end. And then here at the other seat, you can see it's tailing off. And under there, it only continues a few more inches and then disappears. So this looks to me like it was, This looks to me like it was when the wheels were turning and the water was blowing up into it, or the trailer was moving and water was infiltrating from the outside and getting in there and blowing up under the wall. And I'll show you what I think caused that, and I'll have a repair video for this. So I might include that repair right with this video, right with this review video. But totally unnecessary. Again, not even a year and a half old. Okay, here we are outside the trailer again, and this is the seat that I was just showing you on the inside. So the discoloration starts about here and extends the length of the window, and you can't really see it, but there's the end of the other seat, and then it kind of tapers off. So my theory is, and I have some evidence for this, is this is the wonderful molding they give you from the factory, where the siding comes down, goes into this molding over the wheel well, and that provides that's the seam. And you can see in here they've tried to fill that with some kind of sealant, which is deformed and breaking and was never complete. For example, here I'll try to zoom in. You can see that gap there. If I press on this siding, I can just separate the whole thing. Here you can even see how it looks to be maybe a piece of the wood. This continues down, and it's just a poor job putting all this on. And they had sealant in there. You can see as I keep pressing, I can press it right away from that molding. I'm not putting any pressure on that either. Until you get down here, somewhere in here, as I press on it, right about in there, it solidifies and I can't press in anymore. But all through here, I think you can see that the gap. I mean, that's just ripe for water infiltration. You're going down the road at 60 miles an hour in a heavy rain. What do you think is going to happen with this? So I think rain's been getting in here, water's been collecting and coming up under and slowly getting blown back through here. So my plan is today, I'm going to go try to get an appropriate sealant. I'm going to take that molding off, probably take that molding off, clean it, recaulk it, and reattach it, and hopefully that'll take care of it. Again, I just want to show you this part. This is the worst of it right here in the front. You really can't see that. It's unbelievable. What does the factory think's gonna happen? A little attention to detail, guys. That would help a lot. I was able to get half the molding off, the half where it looks like it was never put on correctly. I don't know if you can see it, but I think right there is a piece of the wet wood. That is the interior wall, if I'm not mistaken. That's what the siding goes over, and that is definitely wet. So I'm pretty sure I found where the leak was coming from. Up through here, oops, sorry, up about here it's getting dry, but right in here it's an interior wall is soaking wet. So that's probably it. What I'm gonna do is put a lot of urethane caulk at least on this molding and attach it back in place, and maybe put silicone on the outside. See you in a bit. Well, I kind of have it back in place. I ended up taking off half the molding and then putting a heavy coat of this urethane caulk underneath the molding, screwing that back on, adding more of the tan urethane caulk here. And what I've done so far is from about here over is put a bead of silicone on top of that. I'll come by a couple hours maybe and just put a bead of silicone over the top of this. The tan does kind of pop out. I knew it would, but it's better than white. Hopefully this takes care of it.